Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got like a little new format here. We wanted to get one more episode in before the Thanksgiving holiday. Let us know if you prefer this time opposed to the regular Thursday time. This time will be Wednesday at 2:30, obviously, and we have a special topic for you today. So today we're going to talk about investing in the future, and this, of course, is buying a 55 plus community or another asset as opposed to renting. Now, if you want to explore different homes on our website, please go to over55nj.homes and you can see all the inventory, and it goes beyond just 55 plus communities. Sometimes people reach out to us and they feel sometimes an HOA solution or a 55 plus community is not the right fit for them. Maybe they just want a smaller house, maybe a condo that's not even in a 55 plus community. And those are great options. And, there's kind of options for everybody on our website. There's different pull down menus. You can search within the community. You can search by price range. You can search by single family versus condo, pet friendly communities. Even we have homes with garages, homes with two garages. So there's a lot of different things we built and put together. And we build these based on the conversations that we have with our community here and our customer base. We're constantly in the field talking with people, understanding what's working and what's not working. So we have a huge knowledge base that you can benefit from. So whenever you're interested in starting to explore and plan for a move, please reach out to us and we can start getting these game plans and wheels in motion in advance. Our website to schedule a call is over55nj.chat, and you can search for all the listings. This is usually the best step to go to over55nj.homes and start to get some ideas and start to research. And you can set yourself with searches too and start getting acquainted. So, quick story. So, I was on the phone with a customer, and she was probably in her mid 50s and rents, single person, and just loves to travel. And she said landlord has very cheap rent right now, pays 1,500, doesn't really have much expenses elsewhere, and she doesn't want to invest right now. She just kind of wants to enjoy her life and travel a little bit. And we never tell people or advise people one way or the other. We kind of give some ideas and always let the customer direct us from there. We're a completely no pressure company. And I couldn't argue with her. I like to travel. I would probably do the same thing. But then on the other hand, you talk to other people, and another separate conversation I had was with someone who's 78 years old who has to move right now. And lo and behold, she was there for 5, 6 years. Landlord promised that they would never sell, that they would keep the rent steady, and they did for a certain amount of time. But that's not just a realistic promise, right? Every asset has its cycle. Every asset has its cycle of ownership. So now this person has to move in her late 70s, which becomes very uncomfortable. So who's right and who's wrong? It certainly depends. I always recommend kind of like a mixture of leisure and activity, but also thinking ahead for these things because you truly never know what's around the corner. Now, last episode, we went into the average prices of 55 plus communities. We're going to bring up a slide here just showing that. I think we have it here. We're on a new program today. Here it is. So the average 55 plus community is going in the 373 range, and it's appreciating 3% year over year. It's lagging a little bit behind the rest of the market. The average 55, the average property in New Jersey is appreciating at 5% per year. So these are great places to put money in and start to invest in. And those are just kind of like the median price across the board. Now, naturally, some places are a lot cheaper depending on location, depending on amenities. The new construction are generally more expensive in this asset class, just like any asset class. But that's generally what we're seeing. Then we also did a breakdown of average cost per community. And I think we could see this here. Let me know if you can't see it. Please write a comment here. But you're going to see all these different communities, and we broke down the cost from a 20% down payment to a 50% down payment, and then an all cash purchase. So a lot of our customers tend to sell their house, liquidate their asset, and pay for this new purchase in cash. We have a lot of great financing mechanisms, and basically what we do is we time and set up both transactions perfectly. So a lot of times you can play all cash and not have a mortgage, and it keeps your monthly expenses very low. So what we're going to talk about today, and this is kind of like a lead in, is why to do this and why not just rent. There's benefits to certainly renting, but we always recommend, if you can, starting to plan ahead and make sure that you're investing in yourself for these various reasons. So obviously, every situation's different. We recommend you reach out so we can give you individual advice. But here are some benefits if you're just trying to decide to invest in yourself, and some benefits to buy, even if you're later on in your life, as opposed to continue renting. Number one is control and housing stability. This kind of goes into the first story with the customer I was talking to had to move when she was 78 years old. I spoke to another person, and her landlord recently purchased her house. She was there for many years again, kind of liked her house. She so liked it. But then the landlord is from Canada. It doesn't fix anything. So she doesn't know who to talk to. She says it's some LLC based in Canada, another country outside the country. And they don't fix anything. And she has trouble getting in touch with them. So there's security kind of like risks from there, or just uncomfortability from that standpoint. So the point is when you don't own your own asset, things can change. The most common thing we see are landlords just liquidating assets and then telling their tenants to move. Either they're reselling, they want to do some renovations to increase value, they want to move into the assets themselves. There's always that instability there if you're renting. And as you continue to age, as we continue to age, relocating just gets a little bit more challenging than it was when we were younger. So you could be very young, having everything go as planned. The landlord promises he's not going to raise rent or sell, but eventually life happens. And like we said, every asset has its own cycle of ownership. So by buying your asset, you have control from that standpoint and you have stability. Now, the second thing is asset protection for care planning. So we have a lot of people, and we actually had a senior care specialist, Bridget Urban, speak on our webinar the other week. It's a great call if you have loved ones looking for assisted care and going through that world. But a lot of times when you're buying your own asset, you're paying it off, you're building your equity. These assets serve as great money-making machines. The 55 plus market appreciated 3% last year. We do expect that to go up as more baby boomers retire. And you'll be surprised how many people we help that are basically saved. They don't really have other savings, but their saving grace is the assets and the real estate they own, whether they're selling, they're downsizing. These assets and the equity they build can pay for their long-term care, which gets incredibly expensive. We've had clients, and I've seen up to $15,000 a month to pay for some of these communities. And we just placed someone for $7,000 a month, which is generally the average we're seeing, and $15,000 for couples. So Bridget would be a better resource. We have her contact here, and she's part of our group. If you're into or looking into assisted living for yourself or a loved one, she's a great resource for our customers. But when you're buying your own real estate and when you're liquidating, a lot of times the proceeds will pay for an assisted living facility. That gets very expensive. So that's a big one right there, and really just saves a lot of the customers a lot of times that we help. Now, 3 is predictable monthly costs. Rent generally goes up. Very few landlords will just keep the rent as it is. Taxes generally go up and other expenses. Inflation goes up rampantly for what we see in the past few years. So as a result, rent goes up. So by buying and stabilizing your costs from that standpoint, you're going to see stable costs across the board. And that's a big one too. Your rent can never go up. It just goes to just having some more control. Another one is tax benefits. We went over this in the last call. Stay New Jersey. If you're 65, New Jersey is going to cut your property taxes in half, up to $6,500. So that's a big tax saving benefit. The tax write-offs, you can write off your taxes, save money that's from that standpoint, and also qualify for the Stay New Jersey, which just basically minimizes your taxes that you pay on your property. So there's big tax savings there that you wouldn't achieve by renting. There's the anchor benefit as well, where you get a property tax rebate. So a lot of good benefits to owning there that you wouldn't achieve via renting. Now, renting has the smaller anchor benefit, but you get a larger benefit if you're a homeowner. Here's a big one, and a lot of people don't think about it: customization and safety modifications. If you own your own home, you can make these pretty much any change you want to it, whereas renting would require landlord approval. Sometimes landlords don't want to install these mechanisms. Sometimes you'll be stuck with the bill yourself and then lose that money. So you can make any custom and safety mechanisms you want in your own home. So that's another thing to consider, especially as we age. And it's all about kind of looking down the pipeline, kind of looking into the future almost, having these uncomfortable conversations, if you will, and starting to plan ahead for this stuff. Because, you know, you could just never, we're going to go into this on another show, just about this story I read about this couple and planning for their retirement, planned perfectly for it. But things happened, and sometimes they weren't prepared for some things, and some things they were prepared for. So we have a lot of great and wealth of information to help our customer base just stay prepared for whatever's coming down the road. So that will be a future webinar topic that we'll go over. And here's one of my favorites, and this is a good conclusion on this one. The legacy aspect. We were talking to another customer, and she was saying, well, you know, I'm X years old. You know, I don't want to leave my kids with this. You know, I'd rather just rent. But I was thinking to myself, you know, your kids would be thrilled to have an asset like this where they can liquidate it and sell it. So this is a kind of like a big one for a lot of families, and a lot of families would be happy to liquidate and split the proceeds. It's just an asset. You know, if you're renting, you're just paying someone else's mortgage. You're just kind of like throwing money. The old adage is you're throwing money away by renting, which is somewhat true. I don't agree with all that, but think about it. You're paying into an asset. The asset keeps growing steadily. We expect these assets to keep going up. And then you leave it to your heirs as a part of your legacy. Now, what she was saying was, I don't want to inconvenience my family members, but it's really easy. If you give it to our team, we can just liquidate it. We do a lot of estates, and we can just manage the whole thing for your heirs, and just not as complicated as you would think. So it's actually a very unselfish thing to do, is to kind of plan ahead like this. You're thinking of yourself, but you're also thinking of others, and leaving a strong asset for a lot of family members. Most families we work with decide to liquidate these assets, just pretty much like the cleanest way of doing it. But there's some people that keep them and rent them, and we can help guide you with that too. So a lot of different options on the table that you wouldn't have via renting, as opposed to if you just decided to rent and paid rent month over month to a landlord. So just some different things to think about down the pipeline. We have a lot of conversations. We're in the field just talking and learning about different challenges, different successes, different wins, different things people are doing that are working, some things people need to improve on. So we invite you to just reach out and use our wealth of knowledge. Let us consult with you, and let us start planning with you down the pipeline. We're very thankful for you. We wanted to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for being part of our group. We have 1,000 members right now. It's hard to believe, and we're very humbled by it. So we're thankful for everybody's advice. We're thankful for everyone's participation. If you want specific topics you want covered, feel free to reach out. An idea we had is we can do some more financial breakdowns of the communities and the monthly costs. That got a lot of great feedback, so we're happy to do that for you as well. And most importantly, we wanted to say thank you. We wanted to wish you and your families a wonderful Thanksgiving. Please reach out to us next time. We'll see you on the next one. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone.